Welcome to hanging out on Monday nights. How's it going? Look, we have Alex joining us from Cyprus at like 5:30 or almost 6 o'clock in the morning there. 5:30. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for making the effort. We appreciate it. We have Buddy in Chicagoland. We got Bill in Boston land. We got Jay in Torrance.
Torrance, California. I'm excited to play the game tonight, Alex.
Well, we're excited to have you here. We were worried about you. We're glad to have you back.
You call me Bill?
Back from the dark side.
Yeah, he did call
Did I
you
call you
Bill.
Bill?
He's
I'm
gonna say,
sorry.
when is he going to pick out that that's not Bill?
I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to do that.
Am I that shiny up top?
Right. John. John
Turn your head
Cena,
back like that.
sorry about that, John. He's from the Boston area, just like Bill is, but yeah. And of course, we've got Damon in Dearborn hanging out with us tonight. Buddy and I were talking right when I came in. He was actually in mid conversation with someone else, and we thought maybe it'd be a good idea to talk about how sometimes we bring too much gear to an event that we really don't need to bring. I was thinking about this because I did a bar gig on Saturday. It was a last minute Halloween party. I brought a little more than I probably needed to. And my thought was, hey man, I guess I'd rather have too much than not enough. But have you guys ran into the situation where you just maybe brought a little too much to an event?
Weekly.
Yeah.
I have been saying for 20 years, my 6 bags of cables,
You still haven't gone through those cable bags?
I'm going to make them come down to just one for the. I got close. I had 2 bags, one for the ceremony that had everything I needed,
Yeah.
and one for the reception. And I'll tell you, the only way I was able to do it, I bought 2 new bags that were empty.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the ceremony, and then I took every single cable from the ceremony and put it in one bag, zipped it up, and I'm like, this is now ceremony bag.
Right.
I did the reception and did the same thing, and it was great. The problem is, and I think you guys are probably better than I am at this. Oh, let's make the cables all neat and clean and Velcro them. The end of the gig, I can't get out fast enough. So I start like just throwing, and the voice in my head says, you know what? Before the gig next week or tomorrow or whatever, you can go through this and organize.
Yes.
You can rewrap.
You
Yeah,
take
but
care
you
of this,
just-
don't worry.
You're not
But
alone. There are a lot of people like you to do that.
I ended up with a 60-person wedding, 2 Evolve 50s, XZ, Omnis, 2 wireless, a
An
handheld
Omnis?
Omnis Duo, the
Well, yeah,
battery.
you need that at a 60-person wedding. Yeah.
Ceremony.
It was for the ceremony.
Oh my gosh.
Well, think about this. And I used a Wave 8, so I'm completely, except for the microphones, no power needed.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I had Opus Quad in my head when you said Omnis.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I
Just
apologize.
the small Omnis. It's
Okay,
my new
no, don't,
camera,
my bad. Yeah.
and it's my new backup because it runs Serato, so I could
Bill,
take
John, same
the
thing.
bag, put it on top of the XZ if it went down, plug in the XLRs,
Uh-huh.
run live. But I've never, put it this way. Had the better question in my head when you asked the question was, have you ever not brought enough gear to a gig and panicked? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
So how do you get around not bringing enough gear?
Bring
six
two
times
compensate every time.
Yeah.
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 How much money you got on you? $300. How much you planning on spending? I don't know, 20,
Yeah.
but I brought 300. Why didn't you
I
just
know.
bring 20?
Yeah. I know Buddy's got great insight on this because Buddy,
Because it's in his truck.
well, yeah, that he carries his whole life with him. He's kind of a nomad DJ in that regard. He's got all this stuff. He'll argue that he has
Van
a few
life,
things
buddy.
in storage somewhere, but most everything's in the truck. But when he sets, it's minimalistic,
Yeah,
right, Buddy?
what I was talking about before is, and again, when I first started DJing with the business, I go back to 2002, 2003, 2005, even 2010, 2015. I look at there's all the stuff I carried, and again, I've had multiple vans. I'm on van 5, so I've had vehicles for the business to carry a gear and carry backup gear.
Mhm.
And that's not the thing. Having backup gear, having extra gear in case you need it. Yeah, sure. Once in a while, you're like, okay, I can go into the van, go grab this or grab that, in case you need it. But walking into a facility, kind of get an idea is, do I need it? Do I need to bring it in? Why bring something in I'm not going to use? And I go to the philosophy of, and I want to say the name correctly because I don't want to mess up the first name, but it was an architect here in Chicago, and he actually designed a lot of structures in the Chicagoland, like downtown Chicagoland area. Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, he had the philosophy less is more. And sometimes less is more is a better way of doing things. Lighting, sometimes less is more, more impactful. How do you do stuff? And it sometimes keeps you challenged, but also sometimes keeps you behaved. Do you really need to have that big, huge sound system for a small event? You have 60 people, 70 people. Do you need two 12s and two 15-inch subwoofers or two 18 subwoofers for 70 people? I'd say
Yeah.
no. And again, I know some people will say, well, you can always turn stuff down, you can't turn it up, but
Mhm.
sometimes it keeps you controlled and you're not battling that going, oh, I gotta go louder, I gotta do this, or I gotta go brighter or more lights. And making your life, you're putting so much stuff up, you're doing all this work for what? Is the client paying you for that? That's first thing. Second thing is that
Right.
is it beneficial for the event? Is it beneficial for the event? Now, I'm gonna go back to your gig, Brian, when you did on Friday at a bar
Yeah.
kind of, a pocket setup, something very small, compact, small area, nice setup, some nice little lighting, couple, 30 M's, and you got rocking out. It's like, I do some weddings with the Maui fives, or you do something with a pair of tens, you don't have to have a big, huge system every single time. Now,
Right.
if again, you're having, a three, four, 500, yeah, you're going to need a big system for that. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things I also think talking to the client and seeing what they think and what their vision is and how can you do it and keep things simple. And the other thing I also said before when you walked in, we were talking about this, the more you add things, the more complicated you make things, the more there's probability of something going awry. When you
Yeah.
add complication to anything, doesn't matter what it is, you're making a
Yeah.
cake, you add complications
Mhm.
to it, the cake may come out wrong. And that's one of the things you have to think about. What do you have? Now, can stuff go wrong? Yes. And being ready for the contingencies are important. But when you sit there and look at a setup of going into a place, you want to do certain things. What is the minimum you need to do that to accomplish that goal? And
Right.
do you need to
Right.
bring 15 extra speakers?
Yeah. 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 What do you really need? Break it down to just the bare necessities, if you will. And
You don't
that
think you
has
should
to
always
be,
have a little bit of headroom, just a
of
little bit.
course,
What if
of
the
course,
speaker
you don't
goes
want to not have
down? I've got a
enough,
backup.
but that, yeah, I mean, there is always some degree of backup, but yeah, I mean, I've had to reduce things on my end quite a bit. I've had to really ask myself what's absolutely necessary and what isn't really necessary to be able to continue to do this at any level by myself.
Well, I
And
think
it's forced
also
me to look at alternatives.
I
And
think also, Brian, in some areas, some of the venue owners have put in sound meters into venues because they've had DJs come in with too much stuff, too much of this, too much of
Mhm.
that. And they may not have all the outlets you need for all the lighting you want to have, or may not have all the space for the system you want to do. And that's one of the things talking to and being a partner with the venue and understanding what they want. You also have your client, which you want to make sure you take care of them, but what is feasible, what is right. And again, I live by the philosophy for the past since about 2015. It's less is more. Getting rid of a lot of things, a lot of those complications, getting rid of
Mhm.
a lot of things that cause a lot of headaches and problems. And that way, I know for 100% I don't have to worry about this or that. It's a clean look, a clean slate, a clean piece of paper, and go through it and say, do I need that? Do I need to have this? Do I need to bring this?
Right.
Yep, bring it all.
How about you,
DJ
Alex?
Malmsteen, more is more.
I think Alex, we can safely say does more weddings
More
per week
is
than any of
more.
us. So he's out there quite a bit. Now I know John does a lot of events, Damon does a lot of events, Jay's always busy, but more weddings per week, I think when it comes to weddings and setups, that would be our friend Alex. How do you feel about this?
I think there's taking too much or taking too much, but it's enough, and then there's setting up too much. So
Yes.
it's like, how much do you take? That it's like if you don't know the venue, then I'm going to be taking a 150-foot long extension lead because you never know where that power unit's
Right.
going to be that you need to plug into. I may not use it, so next time I'm not going to take it because if I take it a second time, I know I'm not going to use it, so then it's too much. So there's levels of too much. It's like the first time, is it the first time you've been to the venue? Have you done a recce? Do you know where you're going to set up? Do you know where this is going to be? No. Okay, well, in that case, I better take that. I better take this. You know, I better take a third speaker just in case they surprise me with like, you know, oh, we need sound here. You know,
Right.
so I think there's different levels of like, you know, there's taking enough and there's just taking too much that you're just not going to use. You know.
Yeah. But you have things like in your van ready to go for backup or emergency or whatever. There are things that you do carry, which is nice that you can do that.
Well, I think yeah, the too much that you don't use, if it's a backup stuff, then it's not stuff that you know, it's stuff you don't want to use.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you take with you. It's like, you know, the spare tire. You know, you
Right.
always have a spare tire. Nobody ever wants to use it.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
yeah, there's things like that. There's the emergency kit. You know, which doesn't really count. You know, it's the emergency kit. It's there. You always have it. It doesn't really
Right.
count as too much.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. You're right. It's a matter of what you set up. Bringing it's one thing, setting it up is a different story. I like that. John, you're setting up stuff constantly for events. You're a busy guy. You're always working. What do you say about this?
Sure. I mean, you've got to at least deliver what the expectation is of the client. If you told them you're going to uplight the room and you're going to have bubbles and you're going to have foam sticks that light up, you're going to have that stuff. You got to bring what you promised at least.
Yeah.
But you want to deliver their vision of their experience and not do a lot of extra for yourself because you want yourself to look a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I know we just had a situation with one of our DJs just bought a new set of speakers and some lights, and he says I'm doing this wedding coming up and I'm bringing way more than I need, but I want to get pictures of this gear set up at a place and not in my way.
Sure.
So if it's serving a purpose for yourself, it's like I need to get some content that shows this gear in action. Yeah, you bring some extra stuff, but you figure you get an hour to set up. Sometimes a little bit more you give yourself. Whatever it takes an hour to set up because you got to make it functional, takes 30 minutes to take down, to get it all back in boxes and rolling it out of the building. So the more you set up, the more you got to break down, the longer your exit is. So take that into consideration too. It's like the more you pad and the more you add, it's like at the end of the night, you're still responsible for making all this go away. And you still have to get it all back home again. And limitations, size of the vehicle, and like we talked emergency bag, you always got to have an extra 50-foot XLR, another 12-foot IEC, you know, a couple of, you know, packs of batteries. That stuff's always going to come with you. But, you know, if they ask for certain features, don't, you know, bring things for fluff to say, you know, well, I thought if you're going to do a light show, then I guess it's really up to your own judgment and what you can fit in your vehicle. Like I've got a mid-size SUV, so I can't take everything I own, or it would be 2 trips.
Right.
But I know what it takes to get the job done, and I try to pare it down and have, I'll build the wire bag the day of. I know what the haul is. I know how far the speakers are going to be out. I know how many power strips I need coming off the walls, and I'll pack that down. I don't take a ton of extra wires, but for the gear I need, there's always tops, there's always subs. You know, whether you're going to bring totems or something else, well, can you fit them built, or do you have to dismantle them every time you want to fit them in your vehicle? So don't make more work for yourself, but definitely deliver what they expected, and don't sort of change, for the sake of cutting corners. Don't be so economic that it looks like your show is missing stuff or lacking. Give them what they paid for.
So don't be that DJ that brings something that makes you feel cool but doesn't make you look good.
Yeah.
Don't bring that 15-watt laser, that you need the big red button to hit when it goes wrong. Because it looks amazing.
Clock lights.
But you're doing a wedding for 100 people, and it's not like Conchella. It's not the Ministry of Sound. It's not Ibiza.
Damon, what do you say? You'd never bring a high power laser to an event. I know that. But you famously say, "Hey man, you can always turn it down if it's too much speaker."
That's exactly what I'm gonna say. You're right. You can't always turn it down. I'll probably do the least amount of weddings out of this crew. Okay, but I do a ton of events.
You're gigging like several times a week.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I do the least amount of weddings, but I'm always
right.
So I'm doing birthday parties, all types of functions, And so I'm not really playing for the majority of my crowd is, I want to say 45 to 21 of my crowds that I play for. Okay. With that being said, I'm gonna have a louder system
Mhm.
than what most guys would take to a wedding because
Right.
I'm at that party. I'm at that party crowd, and they
You're
want to
doing,
hear.
less social events and more dance events.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So they want to hear the thump, thump, thump.
Yeah, they want to
You
feel
know,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they want to feel
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm either gonna carry two 12-inch subs or two 15-inch subs to my gigs where with either 12-inch tops or whatever to go with it.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, so if it's too loud, yeah, I can't turn it down, but I'm bringing enough to make my gigs go off well.
Right.
And as Jay said, it's nice having headroom. So
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
if the party's only supposed to be for 60, 70 people, but 150 people show up, I got the headroom to make it work.
I
So
did a school dance.
so yeah.
I think it was last year,
Oh.
maybe the year before. I don't remember, but it was supposed to be 500 kids. And I thought, well, the Evolve EKX is ideal for that. It's not
Mhm.
going to blow their heads off, but they're going to be able to hear it. Well, they ended up with 800. And I was plus 3 dB on my speakers. I literally turned my speakers up plus 3 dB, which I never do. I had to turn the bass down and the mid up just to make noise and not just go into thermal shutdown.
Right.
It worked, but it wasn't ideal. It at the end of the night, I asked people, did it sound okay? Yeah, it sounded fine. It was a little loud, but it sounded fine. It probably did sound loud with that mid turned up. I
Yeah.
had to compensate somehow. So yeah, some headroom would have been nice in that case.
Yeah. See, school dance, I definitely gonna bring in more speakers in. If they say 500, I'm bringing enough for 6 or 7.
That's smart. Yeah, that's
Okay.
smart.
I think it's
But
on how you travel too.
yeah.
Like if you've got a big van like Buddy, then bring 3 sets of speakers, and when you get to the gig, go, okay, this is a
I think
Maui
that's gonna
5
right.
versus. I mean, I DJ'd for like 3-4 years out of a Sebring convertible. I had 2 Yamaha 15-inch powered speakers. It didn't matter what the gig was. I don't think
Right.
it ever went over 200 people, but it didn't matter. 20 people or 200, they had the same setup.
Sure.
And that was when I realized no one ever said you weren't loud enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I'm bringing adequate sound. And I would talk to DJs like, if you go over 100, you need a sub. And if you go over 150, you need 2 subs. And I realized that's how they sell their service on their website. And more power to them. That's great.
Yeah.
But what we qualify as perfect, they may not. And to John's point, I've got 200 people in a room and I've got a 20 by 20 dance floor. As far as I'm concerned, I'd like 200 people to hear the toasts. I'd like 200 people to hear the announcements.
Yeah.
I'd like them to hear dinner and cocktail, but I only want 40 or 50 people at the most to feel the dance music. The rest of the people, I want them to sit at their tables and talk. So for me, I don't feel the need to compensate numbers against the out goal. The goal is the dance floor sounds great. The rest of the room is lighter. And that's just the reality of our business.
Yeah.
You've done your job. And if you have to carry 4 different setups of speakers, if you got the room and you're willing to do the work and spend the money, great. But when I first started and didn't have the money, it was like I was happy to have 2 powered speakers, and that's what went to the gig. Because
I
it was
had one set of
internet to
speakers
tell
for
me I was
whatever. Yeah.
wrong.
I had one set of speakers for everything I did from 1994 to about 2006.
Yeah, that's
It
how I
didn't
was.
matter if it was a 700 kid school
Nope,
dance
didn't
or if
matter.
it was a 25-person backyard barbecue. It was the same set of speakers. I can't
I
afford
did
two
New
sets
Year's
of
Eve with
speakers.
two DAS 15s, 2 Yamaha 15s, and a PV12 on the floor.
Yeah.
We had 600 people. And it's because I didn't want to pay to rent subs. It wasn't that big of a paying gig. And everybody in there danced because there was a speaker in each corner of a rectangle and then a
Mhm.
loud one on the floor, and everyone had a good time. So I think if you proof of concept what you think, it's very difficult to go back and say,
Yeah.
oh, I was wrong. One, we don't want to be wrong. And two, most of the internet is wrong. If you want to have
I
fun,
don't mind being wrong because it means I learned something.
no, but that's it. You have to, but it's your business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can tell you that, M30s aren't loud enough. Then you can show me a video where everyone had a great time. So it's not a matter of opinion now, it's a matter of proof. So
Well, it's a matter of
I-
sound objectives, I think, a lot of times.
Well, and I've got a gig coming up next week for 2,500 people. I'm using two Evolve 50s about 6 feet away from my table.
For 2,500 people?
Overkill for 2,500 people. I'm going to use Evolve 50s. So when this video goes online and goes completely viral, I'd like to take all the credit for that, please.
Yes. Yes. I actually
Get me
got
some popcorn.
unsolicited compliments on the 30M system at the event, which is cool. And from people who were there, and all I want to let you know the volume's perfect because it doesn't hurt. I walked out of here with a stomach ache before because it was so loud. And I can hear the bartender and they can hear me, and I'm not screaming at my friends. Thank you for keeping the volume. They didn't realize it was a speaker thing. They were looking at it as a volume thing. But
Right.
it was, the frequency wasn't competing with the vocal range. And that's the characteristic of a raise that I preach and falls on deaf ears most of the time, but it works well for social events. And the bar count.
How many times we talked about the Dynacord system? Can you imagine?
That's
I
my
mean,
system.
Can you imagine though? You have a room of 400, 500 people, and you show up with these little tiny speakers on either side of you, and the whole room lights up. They'd lose their minds.
Yeah, that was impressive. And we may be remembering it a little different than it really was, but at the time it was very impressive.
That
probably
dude
romanticizing the hell out of that thing, but
it's become
2010
legendary.
at Moby Chicagoland, that thing was amazing.
It was insane.
It was side
Great
spin.
thing
Well,
I've
that's the
ever
thing.
heard.
It can go from 0 to 140 dB, but can it run the distance? Can it finish the marathon, or are they going to start blinking
It
lights
was
after 3 hours?
Dude. It was like $6,000.
Yeah, it was a lot
Back
of money.
then was like
back in the
our
old timey
business,
days.
a
Yeah.
lot of money.
It was like
Wow,
$7,000. I thought it was just ridiculous.
Or
And I remember,
$7,000, yeah.
Either way, that
a-
Dynacord system is expensive, but it sounded fucking phenomenal.
a pair of
Unbelievable.
DJs, I think in Racine or Kenosha, bought it. I was really surprised that someone local bought that system, but they did. Never heard about them or anything. But yeah, that was impressive.
It's like the mythical engine that killed all its drivers on speed
It
races.
gets 72 miles per
radar.
gallon, and it's it's a big block V8. I don't know. Yeah, the legend.
They put it in a Pinto.
Well, thanks guys for coming and hanging out tonight. We're going to do this again tomorrow night with music, and we can't forget our sponsors. DJ Event Planner is crazy enough to sponsor this show for you every week. So I want to thank DJ Event Planner for being our channel sponsor. And if you'd like to learn more about DJ Event Planner, please have a look in the description of this video on YouTube. There'll be links. You can click on them and learn more about them. Support our sponsors. Thanks, guys.
And just remember, Jay's doing a party next week. 2,500 people with two Evolve 50s.
Two Evolve 50s.
And it's
Hashtag.
it's overkill.
I have them 3 feet away from my 6-foot table, one on each side. That's the secret. Trust me.
It's overkill. So yeah,
Probably.
we'll see you then.